Chelsea sabotages Victoria's good mood with a shock demand, and Kevin delivers luck. There's some fresh proof. On today's episode of The Young and the Restless, Abby tells Chance about her worries, Devin and Nate argue, and Chance may have cause to go to the district attorney. Victoria sends Chance a text message at Newman Enterprises reading, "We need to talk." He says they'll meet at Society in half an hour. As she enters, Chelsea coughs to get her attention. Victoria is mystified as to why she showed up uninvited, and Chelsea is certain she hasn't yet recovered from her shock over Ashlyn's death. "Are you feeling okay?" Because it's not the best moment to discuss, Victoria brings up Chelsea and Billy's podcast instead. "What exactly did you want?" After discussing something with Billy, Chelsea decided it would be best for him to come talk to her directly. She is hoping to set up a meetup between Johnny and Connor. Incredulous, Victoria exclaims, "Why would we want to do that?" As Chelsea notes, Johnny and Connor are familiar with one another and could enjoy spending time together. Victoria is curious as to the nature of her question. Chelsea hopes to break the news to Connor that he has a biological sibling. For Johnny's sake, she believes it'd be fantastic. A fuming Victoria. She and Billy will have to decide. "What is the sudden hurry?" she then inquires. Chelsea claims that recent events have served as a sobering reminder that we are not guaranteed tomorrow, and thus she has decided to come clean about her paternity to Johnny. Avoiding the lad's questions is not the answer. In this case, Victoria advises her against it. Chelsea is aware of the fact, but she is concerned about the consequences that may result if they do not tell the boys, and the boys later discover out they are not cousins but brothers. It's impossible to save a family from the ravages of secrecy. Abby appreciates Chance taking the time to meet with her and asks him how the Ashlyn inquiry is progressing when they both arrive at Society. Chance hasn't made up her mind on what to do next. Abby had a word with Victoria, but she wasn't going to push the issue with him. "Are you suggesting you have an opinion now?" asks Chance. Abby reassures him that the final decision is still his, but she stresses that Victoria wants to forget of the whole thing as soon as possible. How will this make her dad feel? Chance gets annoyed and tells her that this is his responsibility. He took an oath to execute his duty, and he can't merely ignore it because of personal feelings. If his theory regarding Abby's father is correct, and he can provide proof of it, does it alter the fact that Ashlyn died, and if so, why? Although she admires his dedication to his work, she wonders if he gives the same amount of time and energy to his family. If he prioritizes his family over the rule of law, Chance believes it would be hypocritical for him to work in law enforcement. Abby feels bad about how this will affect her family. She understands his internal struggle. Chance, who is striving to do justice to Ray's name, can't do so if he conceals the truth about her ancestry. Abby tells him that he missed Dom saying bye-bye the other day since he was busy at work. Chance knows she can't be present for all the memorable moments, and she gets the impression this isn't about her. When Billy gets at Chancellor Winters, Lily tells him he missed the video conference and he should feel bad about it. "Why did you have to miss this event?" In the midst of producing a podcast with Chelsea, he forgot about the passage of time. When asked if they'll forgive him, Billy inquires, "Do you forgive me as expected?" Lily agrees, and Billy then notes that this is the first time he's messed up in his role as her chief operating officer. And, as Lily points out, this isn't the first time the podcast has caused him to be late or distracted. For the time being, it is his top priority. The podcasts, Billy explains to her, are a part of their overall plan. He makes sure Lily is always up to date on the current episode, and he never lets her forget how popular they are. Is it too much to ask for her Kuu's help, seeing as how she has a lot on her plate right now? Billy would hate to get a reputation for slacking off on the job. Lily claims that the issue is that he no longer finds fulfillment in a business setting. Maybe she wants to know whether Billy wants to quit, Billy thinks. Devin tells Nate at Crimson Lights that Lily has been selling him on ideas he hasn't even had yet. He thinks he may have done it, so he could criticize them after they have been authorized by her. Nate claims he is wrong to draw such judgments. Since Lily had requested his input, he provided it. Unlike Devin, she was interested in what he had to say. The only person who has ever gotten upset by Devin's criticisms was Nate, who otherwise liked all of his suggestions. In Nate's view, all he does is criticize. Devin claims he has never said anything other than he needs a mentor. If Nate has to check with him before taking any action, he won't be able to execute his job. Devin argues this is the way things have to be done and accuses Nate of trying to cut corners because they're related. Nate is aware of the fact that he is not on the same level as Devin, but he is also not an intern. The message he's receiving is to be seen and not heard. Devin maintains that he prompted him to raise his voice. Nate complied with Lily's request because he believes Devin could gain insight from her if he were less stubborn and self-centered. Lily agreed with you that his suggestions were thoughtful. But as Devin points out, that's not a permission slip to start doing things. Did he really believe he could implement this plan without anybody else's help? With a sneer, Nate says, "There it is, your entire craving for control." Devin has a strong suspicion that Nate can't deal with any kind of inexperience. While Nate insists that this is Devin's standard line of denial, Devin insists that he is telling the truth. "You don't have much experience in the business world," they said. "He's bound by law." How could you not know that you are my chief operating officer?" As Nate puts it with a wry grin, getting all psyched up. "Do you plan to punch me once more?" "No," Devin retorts. "But now I know that there's more at stake than just the job. Prior to continuing this conversation, you need to work on yourself." Having said that, he leaves. Chelsea assures Victoria at Newman that she is not trying to force the latter into making any decisions. Because of her initiative, Victoria will give the idea some thought. She's convinced that the harm caused by secrets is greater than anyone would imagine. Lily is concerned that Billy may be contemplating leaving Chancellor Winters. Actually, he doesn't, and he's sorry that things got heated. He promises himself he will improve now that he no longer has her. To celebrate, Lily cracks out the present Daddy gave her, a brand new pair of AirPods. Clearly, this has not impressed her very much. In a word, useful. She advises him to give some serious consideration to his own desires. At the club, Chance tells Abby that the pressure from her whole family has been overwhelming, and Victor even went so far as to ask her what he would have done if she had killed Stitch, he said. Abby regrets this. An appearance by Victoria, who requests some alone time with Chance. Abby offers to pick up Dom, and she looks back at them with concern as she goes. When Chance asks Victoria if she talked to her dad, Victoria says no, and that her dad doesn't see how shaky footage of a man getting into a rental car shows anything. Chance points out the family's subtle threats and says he is waiting for one. Victoria says she admires Abby's moral compass and that she regrets letting her lean on him. Even while she won't force him to do anything he doesn't want to, she feels compelled to reassure him that a man did indeed come after her and that they are now secure. All parties involved benefited from the resolution. At Crimson Lights, Abby and Devin talk about Dom on the terrace, and Abby realizes that Dom is furious about something. Working with his family is to fault, he says. Nate doesn't take advice well and is always trying to multitask. As far as Abby is concerned, that doesn't sound like Nate at all. Devin says he was surprised to see this side of him. He's tried to engage him in conversation, but he claims he treats him like an intern. Abby understands the difficulties that can arise when job and family life collide. She discusses the difficulties of dealing with Chance's job as a police officer. Trying to make up for the loss of Ree, he has been putting in absurd amounts of time at the office. Now he's faced with a case involving a moral conundrum involving the death of Ashland. She won't urge him to back off, but she will recommend that he try to give Nate space to figure things out on his own. Upon hearing this, Devin chuckles. From his expression, she gathers that he doesn't appreciate her suggestion. They both acknowledge that they have room for improvement in putting their own advice into practice. At the rooftop bar, Victoria vents to Billy about how she felt sandbagged when Chelsea revealed she was Johnny's biological mother. "So, Billy, I appreciate you warning me." Billy thinks Chelsea made a hasty decision, but it's a big one. They both realize they need to inform him. Victoria is unable to process Chelsea's haste tonight and recognizes it as a warning sign, as she needs to take some time off to unwind. And then Billy will buy her a drink and gab endlessly about his podcast until she is completely bored to death. To her ears, it's a heavenly description. Victoria brings up the kids and thinks that they might be safer away from Genoa City while the inquiry into Ashland is ongoing. Billy agrees, but he says it's not necessary to find things out tonight. The topic shifts to the rift between him and Lily. When asked about his future career plans, he admits that he is still undecided. Victoria scoffs at him because she's heard this before. Victoria acknowledges that he was instrumental in helping her gain perspective. Chelsea appears at the entrance and observes the pair. Kevin tells Chance at Society that the security guards for Victor have vanished, making it impossible to subpoena them for DNA evidence, but that the good news is that they discovered a bloody print on the door handle of Ashland's car. Even though the blood is Ashland's, the fingerprints are not. There were no other prints or evidence of blood in the car, making this one all the more puzzling. Chance thinks it was the smoker who was covered in Ashland's blood. Kevin wants to know what the plan is. Do they have the resources to follow these security guards across state lines, or does Chance have enough evidence to turn himself into the DA at this point? Over coffee with Abby, Devin laments that it seems Nate is constantly working against him. This difficulty could be a precursor to future difficulties. The lonely Nate drinks his drink at Society. Victoria thanks Billy and says goodnight to him at the rooftop bar. Chelsea approaches stealthily with a smirk. Of all the gin joints, she has always considered that Billy and Victoria's friendship brought out the best in each other.